Hello, in this video I'm going to talk to you about my garage conversion to a luxury bedroom and annex. Now, if you've been following my channel, you might have noticed a subtle change in the name of my channel from Mark's Garden UK to Mark's House and Garden UK. When I reached 10,000 subscribers recently, I said a big thank you to you all, and I also explained that I would be broadening out the scope of my channel from not just the garden but also some of the DIY projects that I'm involved with in the garden. And one of the biggest DIY projects I've got going at the moment is the conversion of this double garage here, which is actually 2 stories, into a bedroom and a shower room and a gym and a music room, and there'll also be an office space in there. Now, I'm no great DIYer, but I have done some DIY in the past, and I'm going to do everything by the book, and all my experiences I'm going to share with you in these videos. For those of you who just like gardening, I'll make it really clear which are going to be DIY videos and which are going to be gardening videos. I do have some other garden DIY projects which I'll be completing next year, 2024, which will include a DIY pergola and also my DIY enormous plant room where I'll be keeping some of my subtropical and exotic plants. But for now, let's talk about this garage. Now, just to the back there, to my right, my neighbour has a similar garage, and he's just had planning permission to convert his, and he was successful. And he's already done his, and he got building control, and I intend following the same process. So I have already put the planning application in for mine. I've done it myself, I've drawn up the plans myself, and I will share how I did that in another video. I've also spoken by email to building control because I want to do everything to the regulations so that I can get sign off. I think that's important because who knows, one day you might want to sell your house and you'll want all those documents in place. I'm going to take you inside in a moment and show you what's in there currently. So we'll have some before footage, and then as time goes by we'll have before, during and after footage. Now, this is a block garage. It's got a concrete plate on the floor, 2 double doors and a loft space above. Next door, my neighbour Rod has clad his in timber, so that's one of the first things I want to do, is clad mine in timber. Now, we are a listed building in a conservation area, so whether the planners will look favourably upon that, I don't know, but there is a precedent set next door, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they will allow me to do it. I think it can only improve the appearance. Those 2 double garage doors I want to replace with bifold doors. Now, I'm sure the word bifold will raise alarm bells for the planners, so we will speak to the conservation officer and see what they'll allow. Now, I understand nowadays that they are looking more favourably towards double glazed, narrow black aluminium window frames. So we'll see what we can do on that. It might be that in the end I just have to compromise and just have windows, which is what was approved next door. So I've also always got a plan B to fall back on, which is essentially what they've just approved next door. But hopefully I'm going to get them to agree that actually having some bifold doors on there is quite sensible. And if I set them back and disguise them a little bit, they won't look out of place. Let's go inside now and I'll show you what I intend doing inside there. This has never been used as a garage in the 2 years that I've lived here, and it never will be. But I do know that garages are an amenity, and a lot of houses like garages. I always park my car on the drive. The cottage is only 1 bedroom, so converting this into some guest accommodation, to me, to my mind, is a very sensible way forward. And I think the planners also thought that when they approved what my neighbour did. It's a big space, actually. It's 6 metres by 6 metres. And there's lots of scope for doing various things. And if you imagine these orifices here remaining open with bifold doors on, it will look quite good. Now, the planners might say, well, we don't mind you doing that internally, but leave the doors on as shutters. I would be happy if they said that. I would prefer not to, but I will always compromise. Come inside and I'll explain exactly what I'm going to do in here. Now, in here we have adequate space for a multi-purpose open plan room. And so my intention is to divide this off. And under the stairs here, along the back, in this space here, I would like to put an ensuite shower room. And down here will also be a gym and a music room. My piano is over there. I've also got my rowing machine. So again, multi-purpose. And I believe music rooms and gyms are looked upon favourably by the planners. There will also be a bedroom in here, so that when my mum and Brian come or other friends come and stay, there'll be some separate sleeping space and accommodation. And it will always be ancillary to the main house. It will never be a different residence. It will never be sold off as a separate house. And I think that's one of the important things that I did stipulate in the planning application. Underground, under my feet here, is a concrete floor plate. And I know it's substantial because there were cars in here when I bought the house. But I also know, because I checked with the previous owner, that there's no insulation underneath there. And I know for building regs nowadays, I will have to put insulation on the floor. Apparently 15% of the heat of the room is lost through the floor. So what will happen there is, I've done some research, there'll be a damp-proof membrane, a floating floor. Basically there'll be sheets of hard insulation down, and then on top of that, cable floor, which is like an interlocking chipboard, and that will go all over the floor. Before I do that, I will have to insulate the walls. The walls on the sides are single block, and on the ends, which have got the apex of the roof sitting on them, are double block. I'll have to insulate all four sides of this room and upstairs, and I'll do that by building stud frames, infilling that with the same hard insulation. I'll have to find out what the U values need to be, because apparently they've just improved the requirement or increased the requirement for insulation. So I'll check very carefully with building regs what I need on the floor, what I need on the walls, and then there will be insulated plasterboard on top of that. So this will be a lovely cosy room. Now, I'm not able to do electronics, and I do want the electrics to be signed off. So I have already recruited and employed an electrician who we've used before, who's very, very good and tried and tested, and the work he's done for us in the past has been brilliant. Unfortunately, he can't start until the end of January. It's currently just after the start of December. I'm not worried about that, because that gives me plenty of time to get my sort of first fix hard surfaces in, but I will leave access for him. So I'll not fix anything proper in place until he's come and done his first fix electrics. So as far as electrics are concerned, I'll need lights, downlighters. I'll need electrics for electric radiators. It's going to be all electric. I need electric for an electric combi boiler, which will power a small sink and a shower. And I also understand from Lee, the electrician, that the cable that comes to this garage is not sufficient for those things. So we'll be digging a trench from the house, and we'll be putting in a new cable, a new armoured cable from the house. I've already got a staircase. It's not particularly attractive. It's under review. I might change it. I quite like a glass-sided staircase. But one thing I do know is I will have to have some kind of porch here in this corner to divide the two spaces up. I think that's a fire regulation. So there's another door there in the corner, and there'll be doors there behind the camera. So I'll have to construct some kind of porch here with a doorway, which will take us upstairs. And upstairs is where I'm about to take you. So here we are now upstairs in the loft space. I'm 6 foot tall, and you can probably see that it's not full height all over. But from here to here, there is adequate headspace. I was debating whether to make this the bedroom. It's got windows on either end, and the views from up here are slightly better. But I've decided to let my guests have a bigger space with full headroom all around, and this is going to be my future office and plant room. And when I say plant room, I don't mean big heavy machinery plant, I mean plants. I have a collection of house plants, and I'd love to make that collection bigger. So this space will be an office and plant room. You can see it's already got a ceiling, which is basically going to be a cold roof. They call it a cold roof. There's no insulation there, and there isn't the opportunity to put the insulation on the outside, so we will have to insulate from inside. And what that will involve will be, again, finding out what U values I need, packing out in between these rafters with insulation, that hard foam insulation. There has to be a 50mm or 5cm airspace behind that so the air can circulate. Then there'll be a damp membrane, a moisture membrane, then there'll be insulated plasterboard on the inside. Again, we'll have to get Lee the electrician to do the downlights in here, and around the outside here I will be building storage cupboards, and I will insulate the whole of this roof from the top right down to where it meets the walls. And I know by putting insulation in here it will be half the battle. Now these walls here on either end are double skin block, and there is a gap between them of about 1 inch, but there's no insulation in that gap, it's just an air gap. But having double blocks there will have a certain U value, will have a certain amount of thermal efficiency, but it won't be enough for building regs. So I will probably end up building more stud walls, infilling with more insulation and putting more insulated plasterboard on top. So we've got all this to look forward to in my video. So I've got all the work and all the research to look forward to. I'm quite excited about it. I'm looking forward to doing it. What's really exciting about it, it's a blank canvas. And I'm hoping that within 12 months, hopefully sooner, depends on the planners really. And my experience with planners at the moment after the pandemic is they are quite slow, but I'm hoping that within 12 months, this will be a habitable space and I'll be able to share it with you on YouTube and my friends and family as guests. So please do subscribe, hit the notifications bell, follow the journey. If you're an expert DIYer or a tradesperson, I'm very happy to take your advice and I will take it on board. So join me now on this journey to convert this double garage into a luxury bedroom and ancillary accommodation at Rose Cottage near Nantwich in Cheshire. I'll see you soon for some more DIY adventures. Bye for now.